Hello, my name is Dan Taylor, and welcome to another live on LinkedIn session brought to you by SALT.agency. So, today, in a little continuation of a series, we're looking at how AI is evolving the SEO industry. I'm going to be exploring a concept of actually understanding what our new competitor landscape is in an AI influenced search environment. So, it isn't just trying to look at who our competitors are when we talk about AI. It's that kind of more broader, how do we redefine what a competitor is organically? So I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail, as well as just some concepts around the basics of competitor 101 and how we need to kind of move away from a mindset which is quite common across the SEO industry, what a competitor is and how that actually looks forward. So without further ado, I'm going to share some slides. These slides will be available, and also this playback will be available on LinkedIn directly through this event, as well as published on the SALT YouTube channel about a day, 2 days after this live on LinkedIn event. So first of all, before I kick off, also I want to say thank you very much for joining me live, and please let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are regarding how AI is going to expand or not expand, maybe your competitor set for your clients or for a company you work for. So that being said, let's kind of get into the show. So first of all, I want to start off with actually what is an organic competitor, because when we look at competitors from a marketing perspective and a brand and product perspective, I tend to think that's a much broader definition than what we've created in the SEO industry. And I think the SEO definition needs to be better aligned and to evolve more with what the wider definition and the wider marketing kind of mindset is around how competitors are. So the current mindset, really around what a SEO competitor is, if you like, would be any website that competes on page one for keywords we care about, so whether that's commercial keywords, informational, commercial, that sort of stuff, or a more slightly broader set, a number of competitors or websites who appear in the top 100. So essentially, it's a very raw, data-based set of who is ranking on page one, top 100, and what level of interaction they have with our site, how applicable they are to our consumer basis, and that's really our competitor set and what we kind of look at in that regard. This necessarily hasn't been the best approach for a number of years now. Google has evolved, Bing has evolved, even before AI, different feature synthesis, etc. We need to understand one thing which I think has been missed quite a lot is that the composition of a SERP isn't linear. It is very, very, very few SERPs nowadays are just a 1 to 10 of best to the 10th best. It's not a case of looking at, well, the site in the first position has X many links, X many keywords, X many pages. It's a much wider evolution of that, and AI, Google AI overviews, being mass takeover of things like in e-commerce, for travel features around hotels and flights. They've changed that over time. This isn't something new that's coming. It's just we need to evolve that as SEOs and how we portray success to our clients. So the current results page really is designed to cater for multiple common interpretations and intents. So we've known for nearly a decade, I think it is now, from quality rating guidelines about needs ratings and I think concepts such as multiple common interpretations, dominant interpretations, multiple uncommon interpretations, those kind of things. But then SERP also tries to provide a diverse selection of website source types. So if you're searching for a product, it may include review websites, news websites, publishers, direct commercial sites. Likewise, if it's a heavily informational query, it might actually just include a couple of commercial results. It will compose the SERP and provide weighting to the more dominant interpretations of things. And this creates a pathway. So you might be ranking fifth or sixth on an informational SERP with a commercial page, and everything above you might be non-commercial. That potentially could be the place for commercial for that keyword. Not every keyword is a target to go top 3 on necessarily, because it depends heavily on your source type and appropriateness, and ultimately what Google is thinking should be up there. It might do rotation, it might do testing, sometimes it might stick, it might fall down. That's just the nature of a competitiveness and why you need to focus on that broader keyword set and actually focus on broader competition, which is what the purpose of today's webinar is. So the second thing we need to really start changing in SEO is that every agency I speak to, um, even back when I started in marketing many, many years ago, there seems to be this habit to focus on a core competitor set. Now, this worked 10 years ago, this worked 8 years ago, this worked when we were in a landscape of lesser change and it was more linear and it was more data based and metric based, which of course it still is, but the user evolution, the user relationship with the internet is evolving greatly, and we need to move along with that as well. The reason why I think we look at small competitor sets now is because it's almost like a trained behavior. Most tools, like rank tracking tools, will let you track a domain and 5 or 6 competitors, sometimes more. Therefore, we're instantly trying to find 5 or 6 core competitors. We then look at a small group of competitors to do routine tasks like keyword gap analysis, backlink gap analysis. We review competitor content. It's natural, it's competitor analysis, but we focus on smaller subsets, and we usually tend to focus directly on those again, which we see on page one or on top 100, and we look at it from a keyword level and not a natural user level and a purpose level that way. But importantly, we probably tend to do this more, so we've got something to benchmark against. We've got something we can show analytically, show metrically to clients, to the wider business. Oh, look, we've gained X ground, we've gained X search visibility on competitor A or competitor F or competitor M, something like that. It's a slightly, for me, with how AI is becoming more and more into search, how we're becoming more and more multimodal with different platforms, also entering user discovery. So this is your metas, enhancing more your TikToks. Those benchmarks are going to be a lot harder, especially as we start to see great change. And the reason why we're going to see great change is because if we're going to have LLMs, if we're going to have ChatGPT search, if we're going to have TikTok all entering this environment, less people are going to be searching overall. So if we're focusing on the less people searching overall and still benchmarking against that, we're losing a mass opportunity without even realizing it. How much search is going to decrease is really open for debate. One statistic which is going out there at the moment is one I've cited a number of times, and this is one from Gartner earlier this year, who estimate that search engine volume will drop by 25% by 2026. Now, I'll use the same caveat I've always used with this statistic. I'm always overly cautious on predictive statistics like this because I can remember in 2016 when ComScore said that by 2020, 50% of all search would be voice. However, with ChatGPT search now coming out, with TikTok's almost seemingly reaching almost like a market adoption maturity and almost in the mature adoption stage as a product, with Meta's sheer penetration of the market, with the addition of Meta AI, 25% actually feels like it could be realistic. And we're seeing data already to suggest that the shift is starting to happen. Now, 25% is obviously blanket. It'll be very different for different sectors and very different for different target audiences, but there will be a shift and an impact. Like I said, we're already starting to feel the presence of TikTok. We've been feeling that for a number of years. The is TikTok a search engine debate has been going on now at least 2-3 years. I'd be surprised if not longer. We've already been put in a position where we're kind of scrambling to monitor AI overviews. Tools have had to move quickly to do this as USB. We're still in this very early stage of how do we optimize for it? What impact does this have? And very, very few people can answer that question at this moment in time. It's not an industry normalized thing. Literally a couple of weeks ago, we've had ChatGPT search launch, which I'm going to call CGS for the rest of this because ChatGPT search does not roll off a tongue that well when you're trying to speak quickly. But that's new. And we know ChatGPT usage has surpassed Bing usage and it's new and it's still an LLM, it's still an AI, so it's probably still in the early adoption tech enthusiast stage. So it's not yet reached the early majority, so that's going to increase in adoption. We're seeing Copilot and Bing generative search experiences across everything, Copilot across a lot of B2B sections. We're seeing it. And the reason why we're seeing it is because we're actually seeing the LLM traffic increasing to our websites. Pretty much every GA4 I'm looking across at the moment, it's seeing the spike coming either towards the end of this year. A couple of travel sites have seen spikes early this year, actually, around kind of March, April time. But the LLM traffic generation is coming. And I think we need to not look at this as a case of, oh, LLM traffic is referral traffic in addition to organic. It's where this is taking away from the organic journey, and ultimately how it's introducing new competitors to our competitor mindset. So if we're going to accurately monitor our SEO efforts, rather than just looking at rankings and metrics in a subset of competitors, we want to be looking at a wider set of competitors across multimodal, multi-platforms, but ultimately actually really understand who our competitors are and if they're being presented or not. This means a complete adjustment. Our perception, communication class, there's going to be an element of education and re-education in this as well. But realistically, the metrics we've been hammering for 15, 20 years to judge SEO on are rapidly evolving. Yes, there might be some industries that can still be tracked by them wholly, but a larger number of very prominent industries will need to be realigned. So how do we actually do this? How do we assess and understand what our competitors are? So what I want to kind of do quickly is run through effectively a competitors 101. So anyone who has done any basic marketing course, marketing in the case like a marketing GCSE, marketing high school, especially if you've done an undergraduate degree, anything like that, a lot of this probably won't be new to you. But I just want to refresh it for those who might not necessarily have entered the SEO industry from marketing backgrounds, because SEO is a very diverse sector, or those who haven't really had to kind of look at the wider business mechanics of things, had a look at product, had a look at brand, and really kind of understood that. But this is important because AI and LLMs and multimodal, and being honest, users don't really care who you think your competitors are. They just care about who can solve their problem when they want it solving. So there's 4 types of competitors. This is very traditional marketing 101. You've got your direct, indirect, substitute slash replacement. It is usually referred to as both across different things. I prefer replacement at times. And you have potential. So what's important to understanding how effective these different competitor categories are is actually understanding what your target audience or target individuals or segments or portraits, however, whichever flavor you want to call it, what are they actually trying to accomplish? Why are they looking to accomplish this, which is massively important? And then also within what parameters are they actually trying to achieve it? These 3 things for me are very important from how SEO is evolving to understanding who our competitor is, where our competitors are, and do we need to be worried about losing traffic to them or losing users or having different brands intercepting in different parts of the journey? So I want to run through a couple of examples just to make this kind of, on a very, very simple basis, give some kind of cognitive colouring in, I guess, to what these are. So let's have a look at home exercise equipment. I do apologise, all these images are from Pexels. Yeah, that is a very gym-like exercise bike, but let's just be imaginative and let's call it a home exercise equipment. So it's a home exercise bike, very much like your Pelotons. Peloton was huge during the lockdown years. Now it's in an interesting product dilemma. So what is the target trying to accomplish with an exercise bike like this? Well, they're potentially looking to improve cardio, they're potentially looking to lose weight, they're potentially interested in taking up a new hobby, training for a triathlon, wanting to do cycling, so they just need something to do at home when they can't go out on a road bike, something like that. Then why are they wanting to? So that kind of bleeds actually into why they're seeking to accomplish this. So is it training for a new hobby? Have they been medically advised they need to lose weight? Are they doing this because they live too far from a gym? Like why? And then the parameters are, so why are they choosing the home bike? Why aren't they choosing another option? So if we then actually take a look at this and across the 4 kind of competitor boxes, direct competitors to home exercise bikes and that kind of cardio equipment would be other home exercise bikes. So Peloton, direct competitors of a bike. If you want to have a look at indirect competitors, these would be any manufacturer of any other form of home cardio equipment. So it could be home steppers, it could be home rowing machines, home high rocks runners, basically any other thing which isn't an exercise bike. When you look at substitute or replacements, a substitute or replacement to home exercise is going outside, going for a run, going for a bike itself, going to the gym. It's something which satisfies the same need but doesn't have the same element to it. And if you're a potential, that could be effectively with exercise, anything ranging from influencers who want to promote new elements and enter the market is a different element. Companies who manufacture other types of gym equipment, companies who manufacture actual bikes, who might actually then make a home bike for home exercise. Any new entrant into that market space is a potential threat or potential. Yeah, on a SWOT analysis, it'd be a threat. That's actually a good mind segment there. So it's any threats entering that market. Now, this will very much depend on the barriers to entry, market establishment. There's a lot of different criteria for entering a new market with a product, especially things like product market fit, distribution, etc. But it's something we actually need to start being cognizant of, especially as markets become more and more attractive to different companies to enter. A second example I want to give is just around oat milk. So something a little bit more, well, closer to the fridge, I guess, not closer to home in that sense. So what is a target trying to accomplish with oat milk? It's necessarily to use milk in either cereal, coffee, tea, something like that. What are they seeking to accomplish? Well, they could be doing this through preference and a lifestyle choice, reducing lactose to reduce blood pressure. It could be a vegan or vegetarian choice, or it could be something medical like FODMAP and actually having to use non-dairy milks due to medical reasons. And what parameters are they wanting to achieve with it? Well, it's something they want at home, so it's got to fit in a fridge or the rest of it. It's very standard logical questions as you kind of go through this. So again, if we look at the same kind of mapping around this, your direct competitors to oat milk brands out of oat milk brands. Your indirect competitor is basically milk. Non-alternate, it is your milk. So it meets the exact same criteria as what oat milk does in terms of function. If anything was there first, it does everything that needs to do. So it's an indirect competitor. If it's preference, and that's why the person is using oat milk, then it is really a strong indirect competitor. If it's FODMAP and medical, then it's lesser of an indirect competitor, but it is still on the table, literally. Substitute and replacement to oat milk would be any other form of plant-based milk brand. So almond, flax, coconut, anything else which is a non-dairy based milk product. And then moving on to anything which is potential, this really could be any other brand which operates in a plant-based space who could lean in to plant-based milk as a space, or even lean into oat milk as a space. So it kind of, hopefully, these examples give you a little bit of flavour and colouring in as to how to really start thinking about competitors in this way. Now, with SEO, you'll want to branch this out even further, have multiple competitors in different spots. Some competitors and some brands might cross over into different ones, in which case you want to actually start looking at the products and actually start looking at a product level and understanding how the brands interact amongst each other in context of the market and who offers value or who offers headroom. So with this in mind, and taking it back to the AI era of competitors, it's not so much, people really don't really care, I think, about how much they actually, how they solve the problem, as long as they do solve it. Now, this again goes down to a lot of niche things. So if we use the oat milk example again, you want milk in your tea. If it's just that you don't like black tea, then most milks will probably cover it, depending on preference of flavour, availability. If it's due to medical, then it's a lot less elastic in that decision-making process. But what this actually means is that, given that in mind, with TikTok, with Meta AI, with all the other LLMs, CGS, they increase the probabilities of users not entering the traditional search ecosystem, which is why search engine volume will overall decrease. These platforms are retaining users within that ecosystem, and instead of being in a WhatsApp chat talking about a holiday, talking about milk, talking about buying something as a group, they're able to engage within that ecosystem and do the research there. So what we actually need to start thinking about is, well, how is that affecting us? What brands, what products, what other alternatives are being demonstrated at that point? And then really, who do we need to be tracking against in terms of maintaining our existing user base and also going after further TAM, so total addressable market, a further TAM acquisition and further user acquisition. The second, well, I say second, is probably about fourth or fifth now. The other question you really want to start asking now as well is what platforms are our targets interacting with passively? So to use ChatGPT search, you have to consciously go to ChatGPT, or you have to consciously install the browser extension. For 400 million daily active users who actively use Meta, that is just part of their life. For the 1.04 billion TikTok monthly active users, that is a conscious decision. That is part of their daily lives. They're going to these platforms naturally. They're not making a conscious choice. So, what is the passive interruption stage? What is the passive injection of competitor knowledge into this stage? And we can find this through tools like Glimpse, for example, where you can see interest around keywords and actually then start to go, well, this is where an audience is spending most of their time. This is where our audience is indexing the most. So with portable hard drives, I've used this example on other webinars previously. People who are interested in portable hard drives index time most on Facebook and Instagram. And so that means they're likely to potentially use Meta AI within that ecosystem. So that potentially has a higher percentage going to Meta, and then TikTok's kind of in the middle. So yeah, there's a potential strong disruption there from different LLMs and multimodal to be detracted. But then if you look at solid state drives, which is a much more kind of more B2B, I guess, or engineering niche kind of product, Facebook is still quite high. Then it's LinkedIn, your Instagram, but TikTok is the second lowest above Pinterest. So the actual overall risk, which you can take as an overview, is decreased because there's still going to be some disruption. But say you had 100 people a month searching for those keywords realistically through classic organic, I'd probably say your disruption to portable hard drive will be more than solid state. Now, this is very much depending on which platform we're interacting with, whether or not that platform is incorporating something like an LLM or an AI or a search functionality. But it's how they're actually working to retain user attention. How hard are they working to retain users in that ecosystem? So kind of taking it back to the three main questions then. In understanding that competitor map and what the risk is, you want to be looking at what the target is trying to accomplish, why they're seeking to accomplish it, and within what parameters. Then start looking at what platforms they're actually on, where they're spending their time, and how much of a risk the other kind of LLMs like ChatGPT are to their adoption stage. Now, in a further video, probably going to be at the start of December, I'm going to actually explore how to do Sankey diagrams to actually monitor and track and communicate potential user journey drop-offs at different stages through data and start communicating this to the wider business, along with Torino scales as well for damage and potential risk communication. So that leaves me just to say thank you very much for joining today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please do consider dropping a like for the video. It does help out quite a lot. If you are watching the playback on YouTube, again, please do drop a like. Please do drop comments, both on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Please do let me know your thoughts, how you think this is going to affect things, how are you approaching your competitor management in the age of AI. And ultimately, yeah, please do subscribe to the SALT LinkedIn and SALT YouTube as well if you like this video and want to be kept up to date with more and more LinkedIn live sessions, as well as all the other videos we are producing out on YouTube. So that leaves me with nothing further to say, but thank you very much for watching.